I don't know why it took me so long to get into LinkedIn. I've been, using it, but probably not using it effectively.
Yeah.
There's so much good information on LinkedIn, not even just about relationship building, about, different segments of our business, different technologies, new things that are happening. So I'm on there a lot, looking especially for suppliers that I track, suppliers that we have, suppliers that we don't have, and just what's happening in the industry. What's new, what's the latest and greatest. So that's a good way to learn. There's lots of articles, there's lots of details, there's lots of podcasts you can watch.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership skills in the electronics manufacturing industry? Join Sannah Vinding on a transformative journey as she unlocks the key to exceptional leadership in this dynamic field. Discover invaluable strategies, emerging trends, and best practices through expert perspectives and insightful interviews. This podcast is your ultimate resource for gaining a competitive edge, staying ahead of the curve, and shaping the future. Tune in now and unlock the secrets to leadership success in the world of electronics manufacturing.
Welcome to Mind Innovation Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Sannah Vinding, and I'm here to provide you with invaluable insight and strategies that will help you develop the skills necessary for effective leadership. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this episode, and also be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram. So I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Paul Aspiras. He's Director of Supplier Business Development at Master Electronics. And Paul is a seasoned professional with expertise in project management and business development. And with a strong background in technology and a passion for innovation, Paul has successfully led numerous projects and initiatives driving growth and delivering impact result. He's known for his strategic mindset, collaborative approach, and also ability to build strong relationship with stakeholders. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Sannah. I'm excited to be on.
Awesome. So you just have an aura around you saying you have a passion. So that's why I'm so excited to have you on here. So my first question is, tell me about, your passion for your job, what you're doing, and also, what's special about Master Electronics.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I people tell me all the time, and especially lately when I travel to events, people would call me Mr. LinkedIn. Because they see me all the time, they see events we're doing, they see the things that Master are doing, and just kind of my approach. And when I interviewed with Master, with Riyadh, he said, "What's the best thing about you?" And I told him I'm a relationship guy.
Yeah.
And he said, "What does that mean?" I said, I start the relationship, I forge a relationship, and I grow the relationship. And if you talk to people in the industry and people around, they'll probably tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
So I've been at Master now, coming up on 6 years in August. And when I think about culture, it really comes down to our core values. And our core values are: we care, we're dedicated and loyal, we embrace visionary thinking, and we're entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And actually in my interview, and when we interview people today, we ask kind of those questions. Of those core values, are you any of those? And if you are, why do you think you are? So it really hits home. We hire to that. We live by that. And it's very important to us. And I'll get some examples as we talk about events we're doing, events I'm doing, to kind of relate to that. And then, kind of one other thing, our mission statement is to be a family of superheroes that does collective good. And it's just, it hits me so perfectly. And I can talk about the superhero theme too, winding back a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And it's really good. And it's so important to have the core values, and you also live after the core values, right?
Sure.
So, but again, it's tough to sometimes find the right people with the right spirit. So even if you ask, what other kind of questions do you ask when you hire into your team?
Yeah, so we use a predictive index tool so we can find out about personalities. So we have questions depending on the role, how does that fit? And when I talk to the rest of the team here, it's important that they are those things. So there are a lot of people in the industry, and I've heard it on some of the other podcasts. Our industry is not young. Our industry is old and getting older. So kind of the trick to success is getting younger people.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things about Master is young. I'm like the oldest person here in any kind of managerial role.
They're keeping you young. No.
Yeah. So definitely. And people say I don't act my age, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we ask, what is their background? And it doesn't necessarily have to be in electronics or distribution. again, we hire to our core values. That's more important than I've been in the business for 20 years. Okay, that's great. And obviously that's a plus. But if you're not any of those core values, that's difficult to bring someone onto in the master family.
Yeah, nice. What about you? I want to ask about hear more about your skill set. What is some of the new skill set you've added to your resume, if you want to say that?
That's great. So, I know your last question you're leading to. What would you tell yourself in 20 years?
We're not done yet, but yeah.
It's kind of that, right? So I've been always trying to build my skill set, what I call my toolbox.
Yeah.
So when I started, I worked for Avnet for 18 years. When I was at Avnet, I started on the product side, and I really wanted to get into asset management, into purchasing. So I started it there. That's where I started kind of my purchasing career. I did not do any of that prior to coming to Master. And then when I started, I was managing the PM team, which is the buyers for Master. And really, the way Master buys is unique. We are privately held, family owned, so we can do things a little bit differently than the big public companies. But really adding that in, and then kind of relationship building. One of the things that I've done this year is really started to expand what I was doing on LinkedIn. I always knew the importance of LinkedIn for as long as I've been on. I've been a member for a long time, but I really started, doing different things.
Yeah.
Looking at how I'm building relationships, what I do. And again, it's not just, and people even ask, Sannah, they said, do you have a real job? Because they see me on LinkedIn all the time doing all this.
You're like, I never sleep. No.
Exactly. So the other one is my first job. I worked for a company called Victron, and I was in charge of quotes and contracts. But at Avnet, I didn't have a whole lot of contract exposure, but here I really do. So that's another thing that I've been building on. I work with our lawyers on, kind of what we're looking for. So those would be the two that I've kind of added, the skill sets that I've really added since I've been at Master.
That's awesome. So what's your secret on LinkedIn? What's working well for you?
So great question. And the last two episodes, I'm guessing on episode 70, unless you have one in the can. Is that what you guys
have one in the can? Yeah. You're 72.
Okay. So when I watched Lori and Toby, they talked about the LinkedIn success that they had is when they started to include things about, meet the team. I think that's the one that Lori had.
Yeah.
And then what Toby had was, take pictures of events.
Yeah.
And really that's what it is. So the most successful, or the most impressions, the most comments that I've gotten are what we at Master call significant good. And I talked about, when I said the mission statement.
Yeah.
So we have a scholarship program that started 3 years ago at Master that started 3 years ago. And any student of an employee, you write an essay, you give your grades, you get a recommendation. And my son, Paul Aspiras, won the inaugural Ike Nizam Foundation Scholarship.
Oh, congratulations!
So thank you. So back then, did a LinkedIn post on it, and it was huge. It was great. They just had it again. This year will be the third year we've had it. We had 43 kids participate.
Yeah.
And I think we gave away something like $250,000. So my son won again. So he's one of the two-time winners of the Foundation Scholarship. Sannah, the cool thing is they give out a limited amount of scholarships, but everyone that applies gets a grant. So it's either $8,000 for the scholarship or $4,000 for the grant.
Nice. Yeah.
And we open it up to grandchildren this year. So pretty cool. When I look at that one's got over 200 comments. It's got 5,000 impressions.
Yeah.
That one goes very well.
Yeah.
The other ones that work well is we do a volunteer time off. So you get a day, you can volunteer, and then kind of get the rest of the day off. But I've done a couple of VTO events, and those are very wildly popular as well on LinkedIn. Thousands of impressions, lots of comments. And, just kind of feeds into the culture of Master about we care.
Yeah. So how do you copy your passion for sharing all this on LinkedIn to the rest of the team at Master Electronics?
So great question. So when I started, I was managing the PM team, but I had too many roles. I was managing the PM team and the expedite team. I was trying to engage new suppliers and engage the base. kind of taxing. Even though I don't sleep, Sannah, that's a lot. So in the last few years, I kind of wound it down, and now I'm just responsible for engaging new suppliers and engaging the base. Supplier comes in for a meeting. So really, what I do is I work with the existing PM team today, and then work with my suppliers and just what are methods that I have used in the past that have been successful to grow business, to gain market share, to get in tight with suppliers at every level. And I think it's very important when you're talking to your supplier. That's great to have a day-to-day contact, but work higher, in the organization. If you can get with some executives, and it doesn't have to be executives, but directors, and then down to the product managers, the people that are doing the work every day. If you can do a warehouse visit, I mean, that's great. And when the supplier sees you engaging at that level, it just makes it more familiar to them. And the other thing is, and I say it in my LinkedIn posts all the time, is I try and find out something new about the person, right? So I might know someone a long time. So if I go to lunch or dinner, I like to find out something new. What can you tell me about yourself? Something that I don't know. So another good way to know that person, get to know them better. And people like to work with people they know.
They know, Get more is the whole humanizing, right? So that's what you're showing on LinkedIn, and then you're teaching that as well.
Absolutely.
So it sounds so easy, and I'm sure it's not easy, right? So what have some of the challenges been on this journey for you?
Yeah, so a couple of challenges, and I know you talked about pandemic a lot. So going back to that time, very difficult. Right. So what we did is, and no one from Master worked from home. We were in the office 5 days a week. So it hit, and then everyone stayed home except for our distribution center. So going back to the superhero theme, I mean, the DC's been our superheroes the whole time.
Oh yeah.
They never left. So that was kind of difficult at first, kind of getting used to Zoom. And then, after a while, it started to get a little too loose in Zoom with all the happy hours and,
gaming,
all that going on. But really, if you use it effectively and, you can portray your message and still come across as being, passionate, someone that cares, in a little screen like I'm looking at right now, that really says a lot, right? If you can engage a supplier that doesn't know you, that has never met you, and you're still able to engage them, I think it's pretty cool. So the biggest change is, moving to that hybrid work role. So most of Master, besides the distribution center, is in the office 3 days a week at a minimum. And people are starting to be out. So you could tell by this last EDS that it was kind of back to how it was pre-pandemic. And I don't mind Zoom. I like it. I was able to engage suppliers just in this format. The importance of meeting someone face to face. And this is how this all came about, Sam. If you remember, we were at EDS, and you were with Deb, our friend Deb Spear. And she introduced, I mean, I had met you once before, but
I think we met before, but then still, right, being in person.
That's the time we actually got to spend some time together. And so the difference to me, is obviously face to face is better, but Zoom works. I can't always be in one part of the country and then another part of the country the next day. So that aspect of Zoom, I think, is great.
I agree. I think we're working in a new way, right? I think that's how we should look at it. And you can be more effective or more efficient sometimes by using these virtual meetings. And then you will find out we also need to be in person. And then that's where you can go deeper. And that's where you build even more on that relationship, right? Because then you will have the dinner, or you will have the lunch, and you will get all these questions or learn more personal questions you can ask, right? So, so that's
in person will never go away. In person to me is the best. But Zoom is definitely a good compliment.
No, it is. It's fun because I think I had some, right, where I met them on Zoom, and then when I saw them in person, I was like, oh my God, you're that tall.
They said the same thing about me. They said they're used to just seeing me in this little, you're more than just the head. I said the same thing when I would see some people, and all we see is this view, and they come in, they're 6'4", 6'5", and I said, okay, I had no idea. So
it's just there's more to the person, right, when you see them. I want to go back to Master Electronics, because again, when you're hiring great people in and you have the passion, you have your core values and everything else, how do you keep that going? And I know you said you had the volunteering, but I still want to go back. We still have a day job, right? So how do you keep that the skill set, right? Making sure that you have the innovation going on, the collaboration, and I think the most important as well, being better at communicating across teams and across the whole world. What do you do to support this?
Sure. So I don't manage a team anymore, but the idea of bringing people in the office, the 3 days, is to have that collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the things that Riyadh impressed upon us. He's not having people in the office just to have them in the office. There's times when it works better to do trainings. So
Yeah.
we've been hiring a lot of product managers, and we've been doing a lot of training sessions. So in these sessions, they can work with our experienced team and just kind of, what does that look like? In addition, they spend time with myself. We brought another person on to do the same role as me, named Todd Jesme, and
Yeah.
Todd was a DP for years. And Todd and I sit with the PMs and explain our role, how we engage suppliers, what we do to, what's the best way to build a relationship and to work best with that supplier, because we've both been in the business for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've worked with a lot of the same suppliers. So we like to impart our knowledge and here's how we do it. Here's how, when I was running the PM team, here's how we were buying. We've tweaked it a little bit, but again, anytime that we can introduce skills that we have to the existing team, and then that's not just the product team, that's with the sales team. I have a great relationship with all the sales directors. I have them on calls with me when suppliers are asking those types of questions.
Yeah.
Not that they can answer them, but it's always good to have them with me on those calls. It's just important for the supplier. So, kind of they give me their knowledge, I give them my knowledge. So kind of a, not groupthink. Sometimes
Yeah.
groupthink is bad, but a lot of times just sharing ideas, kind of ways to do things. That's been kind of a secret to our success.
Do you do any mentoring internally?
Great question. So we don't have a
Official program.
written in stone, written in stone mentor
Yeah.
program. But we have our version of Women Electronics. It's called
Yeah.
WAM, Women at Master.
Okay.
And at the last meeting, they talked about starting a mentor program.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny. I was sitting in the back row, and they were asking, "Hey, does anyone want to be a mentor?" And right out of the blue, Joni Hollins, who our operations director, says, "Aspiras, what about you? Why don't you be a mentor?"
You have both
I would
arms
love
up.
to.
Come on. No.
Exactly. I said, I'm in. So today, I try and mentor, especially the newer product managers that
Yeah.
have not been in the industry. So, I would love opportunities to do that. Again, I think my pace might be a lot for some people, and it takes them a while to get used to it. But
It's your
yeah,
personality.
I think they realize, what it is. I have
Yeah.
a good basic knowledge, and I'm willing to help. Right, Sannah? Not, I can't say that for everyone, but if you've got a question, I'll try and
Yeah.
answer it for sure.
I like that. I think the whole, if you have an official or not an official, if you're still doing the mentoring, right, or have and say some key people that you say, hey, you can always ask or get support, or that I think that's the most important. It doesn't matter exactly what you call it. It's more to have the structure. I think that's really important.
Sure.
Okay, so we need younger talent into the industry, right? I think everybody I talk to, we can just agree on that. I'm getting older as well. So, what kind of advice would you give if somebody is looking into the industry? And again, I think we have to say, yeah, we're not. That's different, right? Different manufacturing. There's all the distribution. There's the rep companies, and there's need for everything. But what kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, so for so long, the easiest thing to do is find people that are in the industry.
Yeah.
Right? When you're in this industry, electronics industry really clamps you down, right? It
You
really
stay.
grabs
No.
the hole and doesn't let go. So, you can continue down that road,
Yeah.
as our workforce continues to age, we need replacements. So again, that's kind of one of the reasons we started leaning on those core values.
Yeah.
So again, if you're not in the industry, great. For us, one of the big things is curiosity. We would rather someone be curious and
Yeah.
ask questions and have a great attitude and really want to do better for themselves.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be in the industry. We do hiring events here. We were doing it a couple of times a week. It's starting to get hot here in Arizona, so we only
Yeah.
do it once a week now. But again, the pool of resources, if you're only looking at people that are in the electronics industry here in Arizona or where we have branch locations, it really limits what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So you can get someone that has a business background or not. And then once we sit them down and start to ask them questions about their background, do you fit these core values? What do you think you could bring to the table? And it really doesn't matter to us if you are from the industry or not. And I think that's kind of the outlook that all companies should have.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter. I mean, there's some jobs obviously where you need the experience, but in our type of work, if you can build relationships, if you can learn relatively quickly, and if you're open to learning,
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless. It's limitless what we can do in bringing new people on. And what I do see, EDS did the Spark program years ago, and there are programs to bring some newer people into the business. And I like that, right? Because we have to do something, because there are certain segments of our business, military connectors being one, that just people doing it, managing it, are just getting older and older. So to have some new fresh blood is great for Master and great for our industry as a whole.
Agree. Yeah. Okay. I really like that. And we have to look outside the industry, right? That is just, it's a must. Going back to you a little bit, how do you learn or stay on top of all the new technology that's going on?
So again, I don't know why it took me so long to get into LinkedIn. I've been, using it, but probably not using it effectively.
Yeah.
There's so much good information on LinkedIn, not even just about relationship building, about, different segments of our business, different technologies, new things that are happening. So I'm on there a lot, looking especially for suppliers that I track, suppliers that we have, suppliers that we don't have, and just what's happening in the industry, what's new, what's the latest and greatest. So that's a good way to learn. There's lots of articles, there's lots of details, there's lots of podcasts you can watch, and also YouTube. There's so many good things on YouTube, not just in our industry. If I want to, if I need to know how to fix something, that's easy. I can fix it. But yeah, so YouTube's great as well. And then, when I started Master, they did, one of the things they gave us is a book called Radical Candor by Kim Scott.
Yeah.
And, anytime someone's got a good read, and it could be about the business, but not about the business, that's another great way to learn.
Yeah. Oh, I love YouTube as well. There's so much good information. If you find a good channel, there's so much to learn. It just and it's free. No.
So you got me right there. If it's free, give me 3. I mean, it's so easy. The data is there. It's relevant. And it's got older data too, right? So if it's not just, if you want to look at something and, hey, what did this look like in 2000 or whatever, you can go back and look.
And also there's different key people, right, or thought leaders that will explain. And if you don't like that person or the way they explain it, or you don't, saying, oh, let me try another one, right? There's more options, and that's what I like. There's so many options of finding answers or solutions to your challenges.
Yeah. So another thing that we did was so we do a kickoff meeting every year, and our CEO, Jamil Nizam, offered to anyone. He said, if there's ever a book you want to read, let me know and I'll buy it for you. Doesn't matter, doesn't have to be about business. And again, just other options for, if you see a book or you see a reading list. So on social media, I see, hey, this is my book list for 2023. And if I'm interested in that person, I said, okay, well, that person read that book. That's not normally something I would read. So just another option. It's like, hey, if you want a book, he'll buy you the book, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, and that is also that you foster, right? The whole keep learning, fostering to be curious, and that I like that way. That's how it should be in every company. I want to talk about a little bit about Master Electronics, because I'm sure you had to change or to pivot over the last couple of years. So what have changed when you work with suppliers?
Yeah, so kind of our go-to market really hasn't changed. It hasn't changed much over COVID. I know lots of things change, but the way we interact with suppliers has been the same. The way we invest with suppliers has been the same. So for us, it's been kind of a status quo. We've never slowed down. We are, forecast for a big number. So for us to slow down doesn't really play in our formula. Okay. So I think that's why suppliers like us. That's why customers like us. We're willing to invest. Yeah. We've actually did the biggest capital expense in the history of Master Electronics. We put an auto store in. It's up and running. It's been 2.5 years. So again, another innovation of things that are changing in the market. I know other distributors and companies have it, but I didn't know about AutoStore until I saw it, and now here it is. So we continue to add, and suppliers love it. Obviously, they come to see it, and it's robots, and who doesn't like robots?
Yeah, I'll do.
But again, just new and innovative things to make us more successful and faster and more efficient.
If you have to look ahead, right? If you look into the 5 or 10 years, ahead of the time, what kind of changes or challenge do you think that the electronics industry will see?
That's a great question. So what I've seen over the time that I've been in this business is change always happens, right? So you always have to be ready for change, number one. Number two, the consolidation of suppliers, consolidation of manufacturers reps, the consolidation of distributors continues to happen. So in 5, 10 years, all the players that are here now might not be here now, or they'll be aligned with someone else. So I think that's going to continue. I think that's going to continue to happen. Kind of the move towards digital. So we've got 3 selling arms, and one of those is online components. That's our e-commerce brand, and I continue to see that grow. I'm an Amazon Prime myself, so I get my stuff in 2-3 days, and I think that's the way it's moving. When I go back to my times at Avnet in '99, I was building part numbers for people. Now Sannah, they know what they want. I want ABC 1, 2, 3. So that's kind of a big difference. So if I go back pre-COVID, now they're looking for the best price. During COVID, they were looking for source of supply. Okay, I don't care what the price is. Do you have it? It will eventually move back to price, and it's kind of moving that way now. So I think the move to digital continues. So EDI, B2B, all those transactions will increase. And again, there'll always be that human element, that human touch. But I think the consolidation in all of our businesses, I think the move to digital is definitely happening. I think the changes in technology will drive some of that. We have more people coming on shore. Companies that were only building in China. With the tariff, causing all kinds of issues. We actually thought the tariff was going to go away after a little bit of time, and it didn't. We were actually tariff free for the first 2.5 years. So people coming back to North America, like people building in Mexico, people building here in Phoenix. We have a couple semiconductor companies that are coming to Phoenix. So I think you'll see that as well. Not so much dependence on China for a lot of reasons, but bringing business onshore or closer to us. I don't have to wait 8 hours for an answer. Worst case scenario, I get an answer in 3 hours. So those 3 things I think are the biggest kind of changes coming in the next 5 to 10 years. And by the way, the e-commerce one is happening so rapidly. I think that one happens faster. The consolidations kind of slowed down a little bit. If I go back 5, 10 years ago, it seems like someone was buying someone else. Every other month there was some change like that. One other thing about the consolidation, what I like is I see some of these companies buying other suppliers, and they're not necessarily in their wheelhouse. I love that, right? So I think it's cool when a supplier can, just get out of what they know, and obviously they have to have some knowledge about that technology, but a lot of technologies fit together, right? That's how you build your board. That's how you build your end product. But I think it's cool when suppliers can do that, when they can go out of their norm and engage other suppliers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're spot on there. I think you're spot on. Yeah. That was like looking ahead. Let's look a little bit back. So if you have to give yourself like an advice like 10 years ago, but giving it today, what will that be?
Yeah, so it's funny. On one of the episodes, you said you were shy when you were younger. I don't know if you said high school. I find that very hard to believe. But I can see it. So I was I was traveling and going to California, and my son and I were sitting down having a meal, and he asked me. He said, "Dad, were you always like this?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Like how you are now." And I always thought I kind of was, but when I think back, I always have been kind of outgoing and like this, but not to the level that I am now. All right, might be a little crazy, but so one thing I would say is network as much as you can. Get to know everyone in your organization, and again, I talked about it earlier, at every level, and then anyone you're dealing with, get to know those people and go as high as you can. Obviously, if you're just coming into the business and you're a new product manager, product specialist. You're not going to be able to meet the CEO of the company or CFO. But again, that should be an aspiration. Try and meet as many people as you can. Build your network as much as you can. Because again, I said I was a relationship guy. That's what it's all about to me.
Yeah.
So number 2, and I mentioned it earlier, is build your toolbox, right?
Yeah.
So however many skills you have today, and maybe you're coming to a company brand new, you don't know anything about it. I'm not saying jump around to a job every year, because that doesn't look great either. But
No.
you can gather skills in your current position that could be important for you down the line, right? I mean, who knows what you end up doing. I was listening to the Chris Beeson Mind Innovation, and he said when in his 20s, you should do every job you can. And then he said from 22 to 32, I think he was in the same job. So same thing for me, looking back, I was at a place for 4 years, 18 years. I'm coming up on 6 years here.
Yeah.
But again, whatever skills you can grab, whatever you can do, do that. And then the last one is, be curious. Ask questions, try and find out, because it might not be the fit for you. It might be, I like the company, but this role doesn't suit me. So, let me try something else. And again, you have your degree in something, and all of a sudden, my degree is in education, and now I'm doing, marketing, and now I want to be a salesperson.
Yeah.
Again, the switch is not always easy, but again, the curiosity about asking the questions, I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say about being curious, it tells the other person that you're interested, right? If you don't ask any questions,
people it's a wrong signal, right? Yeah.
Sannah, it's okay. This, when I'm doing a presentation and I get no questions, a couple things: either I'm going too fast, or they're not interested. So I always will stop and ask someone, "Oh, Sannah, did you have a question?" Even when you don't have a question, and people are like, "Oh, he's gonna call."
I'll be ready. I will be ready. I
know you'll be ready. But he will, he's gonna call on us. But again, curiosity to me, and then that's one of the other things. When I started at Master, someone said, "Hey, we want people to be curious," and I love that.
Oh, I agree. Totally agree. Always ask questions. I think there's always more to learn, no matter how long you've been with a company. There's more to learn about how everything works and what new stuff and new changes and everything else. Keep asking. Paul, so if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can any of the listeners connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Paul Aspiras, Aspiras. And my email here at Master is paul.aspiras@masterelectronics.com. I would love for anyone to reach out. I'm building my follower base. You had a guy on from DigiKey, and what he said was he does some kind of notes. He was an educator.
Yeah.
Shane.
Yeah.
So he was an educator before, and every Friday he said he would put notes together for people at the school. And he said he does it now. I haven't reached out to him yet, but I'm going to reach out to him.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. He doesn't publish it, but I think that's pretty cool. So this is a perfect medium, LinkedIn, to connect with other people and change thoughts, change ideas. I think it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm getting the newsletter every Friday. I can recommend it. So go back and look that up. Okay, I'll make sure to put your information on the on this episode, and also it's in the show notes, and also put it on the mindinnovation.com. There will be a whole page for this episode. But just to like full circle here, right? I can only agree with you. What we talked about, the whole networking is so important, no matter if you're young or you're older. And skill set. I'm hungry. I want to learn new skill set. I think every day or every week I'm on YouTube to say, okay, I need to learn this. If it's something with video or if it's something with marketing, I want to do it better or more efficient. So YouTube it is, and keep asking questions, right? That's how you can improve and be a better leader.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Sannah. I really appreciate it.
If you like Mind Innovation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the show wherever you get your podcast. You can follow Sannah Vinding and Mind Innovation on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And make sure to check out mindinnovation.com. Stay curious and keep learning. See you next time.